Hey everyone, welcome to WPF tutorials. In this part we are going to talk about documents in WPF, and there are two main types of documents in WPF, and one of those is fixed document and the other one is called flow document. In this part we are going to talk about fixed document. Okay, so I got a short description here for the fixed document. And it says, fixed document is designed for what you see is what you get applications where the document layout is defined and controlled by the application for rendering to the highest accuracy of the display or the print device. Okay, so basically what you see is what you get. That's the key, I guess. Alright, so, and then here I got a visual tree structure for the fixed document. So at the top we have fixed document as a parent, then we have PageContent as child, and then PageContent has a child called FixedPage, and then we can add a UI element such as text block. Okay, having said that, let's go ahead and start of our application. So I'm going to create a new WPF application, hit next. I'm going to call this fixed document, my project name, and then solution name, it's going to be documents. Let's call this documents in WPF. Why not, right? Okay, create. And this said WPF.NET framework. I'm sure you realize that. I've been doing this pretty long, so I guess it's not worth mentioning again, I thought, but in case you're new, you're selecting WPF.NET framework. I think it should work with other frameworks as well. I'm gonna flip panes like I normally do. Okay, so we got our blank applications. Let's check out our solution here. So we got our solution documents in WPF, and the first project we got is fixed documents. I'm planning to use this same solution for the next project too, so that's why I named it differently. The solution normally I would do the same, but this one I want it to be different than the project name because I'm gonna have another probably project for flow documents. Alright, so we got our default boilerplate codes and we got our grid here. Let's go ahead and add a fixed document. Fixed document, and we have no IntelliSense whatsoever for this guy. Okay, alright, so we added a fixed document and we got a nasty error. Let's check out the error, see what it says. So it says we got two errors. One of them says the specified value cannot be assigned to a collection, the following type was expected, UI element. Okay, and then the other one says a value of fixed document cannot be added to a collection or dictionary type of UI element collection. So you got two errors. Okay, let's try to build this and run it, see what happens. Okay, build succeeds, fail 0, and let's try to run this. got a nasty exception. Okay, so the exception says add value to the collection of type system Windows controls UI element collection through an exception, line number 10, yada yada. Okay, here it says cannot add instance of type FixedDocument to a collection of UI element collection. All same stuff. So basically it's telling us we can't add a document type, an element type of FixedDocument to a UI element, which is grid. So I'm going to get rid of the grid and see what happens. Let's build this again. Okay, seems like our error cleared and we got a nice looking FixedDocument. Okay, all right, so we have a print button, we have copy control button to copy and paste, I guess. Well, just copy. And we have a magnifier and got a few other controls here. So the first one is, it says 100%, that I guess adjust the size of the document to full size of the window. This one says page width, and next one is whole page, and then we have 2 pages. Okay, that's our controls. Alright, so if we look at our visual tree, we can add a page content next. Let's go ahead and add a page content. Again, with this, we don't have any, for some reason, we don't have any IntelliSense. Alright, so we added our page content. Let's run this again. Okay, it builds, it runs, but we are getting these errors. Okay, so it turns out FixedDocument has a bug in it, and they never got around to fix that. It's been there for, I guess, forever. But so we're going to ignore basically for this tutorial. It builds, it runs, so I'm just going to ignore the errors. Okay, so next we can add a FixedPage here. Okay, right, let's run this again. Okay, still builds and runs. Again, we're going to continue ignoring those. And our designer doesn't show anything except the nasty error. Alright, so next we are going to add a UI element. Let's go with text block, and let's get a text of FixedDocument. Okay, let's run this again. Okay, we got our first text in our FixedDocument. Okay, so now let's try these controls. So this 100%, I guess that's currently 100%. If you do full width, it adjusts the the width, and then the bottom scroll bar disappears because we have the full width. Then we have the full page, which shows the full page view, and we got 2 pages, 2-page view, which we don't have any other pages, so basically we are going to get the first one when we don't have more than one. Alright, so that's that, let's increase this font size here. Let's go with something like 55. See what happens. Okay, that's much better. Again, if we do full width, it adjusts the size to window. Okay. Now we can actually read when we have the full whole page view. Okay. So far so good. So we were able to add a text block. Let's go ahead and add actually, you know what? While we're here, I want to talk about a couple properties. Let's say we want to change the placement of this text block here. Let's say we want to center the text block to the middle of the page, right? In that case, we can say FixedPage dot top. That's going to be let's see, 400. No, actually 500. And I mean, I'm going roughly. It's not exact. And FixedPage dot left. It's going to be something like for 350 maybe, 330. Let's try this way. See how it looks. Alright, not bad. Well, it's pretty off. Okay, so this is similar to working with Canvas because it's like a blank page, blank letter size page, and it behaves like a canvas or grid. So basically, we have to manually place the text anywhere we want to. Okay. Let's see. The size of the page is I think height is 1056 and the width is 816. And the reason I know that because a A4 size page is 8.5 inches by 11 inches, and 1 inch is, I think it's 96 pixels. So if you multiply 8 by 5 to 96, I think you'll get 816, and then 11 by 96, you get 1056. And just to verify that, actually let me first fix this to something like 250. And to verify that, we can say text block, text, and then I'm going to close this out and give this fixed page a name. So I'm going to say name. I'm going to call this FXPage 1. Okay. And I'm going to then bind this text block, next text block, to binding element name, fixed page, path. It's going to be height. Okay. Let's increase the font size a little bit too. Let's go with 32. And then I'm going to copy and paste this. And this one will be bound to width property. Okay, if I did correctly, I should get the values of the height and width of the page. So this way you can adjust the placement of your elements. And whoopsie, we got two text blocks on top of each other, so let's fix that real quick. So we can just simply say that for the second one we can say FixedPage dot top, let's go with 40. Okay, let's run this again. Alright, so we got 1056 by 816 height and width. Okay, alright, so far so good. Now what else can we do? Can we add images? Yes, we can. I can say image, let's see, source, let me see if I can remember the path, users, they'll, desktop, images, WPF, misc, or misc, and then W2 JPEG. I think that was it. Let's see if that works. I think I didn't get it right. Okay, let me double check that path real quick. Images WPF. I'm gonna, let me see here. Desktop, images, without WPF. I think I should have had WPF here. Let's try again. Okay, now we got image as well, and image is right now sitting on top of our text. Again, you have to remember our canvas or grid tutorial. If you don't specify, it overlaps on the existing elements. Okay, and if it starts with top left corner, any element you add, it adds to the top left corner, so you have to adjust the margin or the placement of the element based on your fixed page. Okay, so we are going to actually, let me add this before the text blocks, so this way we have text over the image. I think that would be better. All right, so let's do this way. And now we have text over the image. Again, you can adjust it, and this comes handy if you if you have a, say, a printed form, and you want to fill out the use a printer to fill out the data inside the form. You could probably easily use this format or FixedDocument to accomplish that task. Okay, all you have to do is just, measure, adjust the placement of your text, and then take it from there. Okay, all right, so now that was we added elements directly to the fixed page. Okay, we could also do what we also could do. Let's add another page. So to add a new page, we are going to add it. First, we have to add a page content. Okay. And then we can add inside here a fixed page again. All right. And then inside here, we can add a layout control, such as, let's say, a grid. We can add columns. Let's say grid that, or can go with something else. Oh well, let's go with columns. Grid columns. Set a couple of columns here. Okay, then let's add another image here. And let's get a source. I'm gonna copy and paste from above here, but use a different probably image. I'm gonna go with fruits 2 .jpg. Let's try this. Now we should have 2 pages. Okay, I'm gonna click this 2-page view. Alright, now we have 2 pages here. Okay. Then we can add, now we have the grid, we can add something else in the second column of the grid. Let's say text block again. The text of FixedDocument. And font size of 55 again. Okay. Let's try run this again. Alright, well, we place this in the same column, so let's change the column here. Let's say grid.column 1, and actually I want to get a foreground too, purple. Let's try again. So now we have 2 columns here, a grid and 2 columns inside our fixed page. So you're not limited to direct elements. You can add layout controls and then add the elements to the layout control. Okay, if you want, you could say grid.columnspan 2, then make this larger and center it. Well, let's keep that same spot. Kind of want to overlap the picture. And that didn't work too well. Okay. So with column span of 2, let's do 0. Start with column 0. Alright, and let's increase the font size and make it larger. So I think it's spanning 2 columns, but it's not too obvious, so let's make it larger. Let's go with something like 95. Okay, that's more like it. Alright, so that was a grid inside a fixed page. Again, the location is absolute, so you have to really make sure you're placing the element where you want it, because again, it's what you see is what you get. So it's not the place of the item you're putting in, it's not going to change, it's going to stay there. And just to prove that, let's say let's add a long sentence here. I'm going to grab this one here, same sentence we used before, and go up here, add another text block, and give a text of this guy, and then I'm gonna give, let's place this somewhere, FixedPage dot top of, let's go with something like 50, and run this again. Alright, so let me make this full screen. Alright, so we added this long sentence here, and it cuts off here, the rest doesn't show. Okay, normally what we would do, we could say text wrap this text, set the text wrapping to wrap and be done with it, right? But it's not going to work in this format. So as you can see, it doesn't work. That's because it's direct child to a fixed page. But if we do the same thing, let's copy and paste this inside the grid. What did I just do? I think I copied a little too much. Copy, paste. Okay, let's try this again. And let's go with 2-page view. And I got nothing. Oh, it's up top here. It's up top there. Let's give it a margin of 0 to 200. Let's try this. Okay, we still have this here. Let's go with full width. Go to the second page. Alright, same thing here. It should have worked, but it didn't work. Let's see why. Text wrapping didn't work here because why? We didn't set the grid dot column, maybe. That shouldn't have mattered, I think. Oh. This guy here, I think FixedPage messes it up. Let's try this again. Still nothing, huh? Interesting. That's interesting. So we are inside the grid and we are setting the text wrap property to wrap. Margin. We got the margin. That's strange. I was pretty sure this is going to work, but it didn't. Interesting. It's right here, and it cuts off right here. Okay, let's try this. I'm gonna give this fixed page a name. Let's call this FixedPage 2 and set the height. Actually, let's go with the width. I don't think I need the height. Binding, element name, FixedPage 2, and path, it's going to be width. Let's try this. Alright, now it's working. So we have to set the height and width of width of, in our case, width, but if you need the height, you can set that too. But when we set the width of the grid to match the fixed page, now it knows the height and width of the grid, so it can adjust the properties of the child elements. In our case, text block. And text wrapping property wasn't working, so when we set the width property of the grid to match the size of the fixed page, then it works. Okay, now I can say grid.column span. I think this should work too. If I say 2, let's try again. Okay, now it's the text wrapping is still working, and we are taking the both columns from the grid. Okay, all right, so that's that. I think we covered a lot of stuff. We could also set the margins on the fixed page itself. Let's say the second fixed page, let's set the margin to 1 inch from each side. That would be 96 pixels. Okay, so if I run this again, now we should have a margin on the second page. Okay, so we got 1 inch on each side. All right. Okay, let's see. So this is doing it through XAML. Okay, and if you don't want to deal with these errors here, you could use the code behind to do this. But before we get to the code behind part, you could also, I want to just say that you can also add list boxes, things like that here. Okay, but I think we should do that in the code behind as our last example for this tutorial. Okay, so before we go there, I'm going to give a name to our fixed document. Okay, so name, I'm going to call this FXDoc. All right, now we're going to go to code behind and create a new method here. So void, let's say create page. Okay. All right, so in here we're going to first Let's create a for each, well, actually a list box. Let's say list box lbx equals new list box. Okay, then I'm going to create a for loop. And let's say 50. Okay, so I equals 0 as long as I is smaller than 50. We want to keep adding. So I'm going to say lbx dot items dot add, let's say in here, let's say book, and then let's add the I to it. So book 1, book 2, book 3. Okay. Right, so we're adding that to the list box, and then I'm going to create a new instance of PageContent. PG, well, PC actually, new PageContent. Okay. Next, I'm going to create a FixedPage. So FixedPage FP equals new FixedPage. So we're creating the instances. Okay. Then I want to add the list box to the FixedPage. So FixedPage dot children dot add. Going to add the list box, and then add the FixedPage to the content, page content. So page PC dot children dot add child. I think this is the tricky part. Yes. So in order to get this working, we're going to use an interface called add child. Okay. Control dot. We're going to bring this namespace in using system Windows markup. Okay. And then we're going to say PC okay add no actually I think I have to put this in another parens here, and then hit add child, and then pass in the fixed page. I think that's how you do it. Yep. And finally, we're going to say FXDoc. Whoopsie. FXDoc dot pages dot add and pass in our page content. Okay. Now if we run this, we should have a third page added to our document. Okay. So that's first page. Let's go to two-page view, and we don't have the third page. Wonder why. Okay, let's see, page content. So we added the list box to our fixed page, and then we added the fixed page to our page content. Oh, we didn't call it, of course. So I have to call the create page from here, and that should take care of it. Okay, let's run this again. And let's go to two-page view and scroll down, and there it is. We have our list box here. Go to full width and scroll down that way, and there you got your list box here. Okay, you can play with the size, the fonts, add header, put a different spot, all that good stuff. So there you have it. One last thing, if you say still want this to be inside a grid of fixed document, there is a workaround to do that. Okay, so basically we could let me actually collapse this whole thing. We could place this fixed document inside a document viewer. So document viewer. Okay, and then place this document viewer inside a grid. We could still do that. So there's a workaround always, I guess. That's the beauty of WPF. Okay, now I can make multiple columns. Let's say actually not there, right here. I can now say grid.column definition and add 2 columns here, and then this can stay inside there, and I can add let's say an image to the second column. Let's get a width actually here. It's going to be 0.8. Well, actually no. I'm gonna change the width on the second column. Let's say I want this to be 0.2 of the first column. Okay, and then I can put an image inside the second column if I wanted to. Image let's see, source C, let's say users Dell desktop images. You know what? Can't remember this. So right here, I want to use an image from here, from my wallpapers. Let's say this guy here. I'm gonna copy the path here and paste inside here instead of memorizing, I guess. Make life a little easier. JPEG, and run this. Oh, I didn't set the column. Alright, so I'm gonna change this to grid.column1. Why I have this error here? Didn't close this. Alright, let's try again. Alright, now I split the application into 2 columns. Now I got the document viewer here and with fixed document, and then I got an image here. Okay, so that's fixed document. In the next tutorial we're going to cover flow documents, I think. Okay, so until then, take it easy.